Alright, so here we've got the topic factoring a quadratic polynomial in two variables. So let's take a look at this. We've been doing some factoring, so we know what that means. This one looks a little bit different. It's got the x squared term at the beginning like we're used to, but it's also got this y squared term at the end. Whoa, what do we do with that? Well, it's not too hard. If we take a look at this, and we notice that if we just took the y's away, we've got a problem that we know how to do because we've practiced that one. We've done that's a different topic, an easier topic, and we know that it factors into a binomial, and it looks like this, right? Whereas the a times the c makes the 2, and in this case, we know that that's going to be a 2 and a 1. And if we were to just add in a couple of y's, then that would just throw those in when we foiled it. So what we want to do first, so here's our steps. First, we factor this without the y's, and then 2, we just add the y's back in. So if we look at just the 2x squared minus 3x minus 9, then we know we can factor that into two binomials, and it's got to be a 2x and an x. And then because this is a minus sign, that tells us that the signs are opposite. So it could either be a plus minus or a minus plus. We've got to figure that out. We know that the 9 can be either a 1 and a 9, or a 9 and a negative 1, or a 3 and a negative 3. So you can do that like you've done before, and we come up with the plus 3 and the minus 3. Then we realize that all we have to do is add those y's in there, and that gives us our final answer. So it's just a little bit more steps, a few more steps than previous. Let's look at one more example. Thought we pulled that in here. So what we've got is 4x squared minus 17xy plus a 15y squared. Keep in mind that our first step is to factor without the y, right? So that means we're going to factor the 4x squared minus 17x plus 15. So that's going to be that complex thing where, alright, we've got 4x can be either a 4x and an x or a 2x and an x. So we've got to figure that out. So this is where we get to really work our technique. We know that it's going to be an ax and a bx, and then it's going to be a plus p and a plus q. Right? So our AB has to give us a 4, and if we foil this, it's going to be our outer and inner is going to be an AQ plus PB, and that has to give us a negative 17. Okay, so we draw our little t-chart, and let's just try 2 and 2, because that gives a positive 4. Oh, I need one more. We need our P and Q. Our PQ has to give a positive 15, right? So we've got lots of combinations, and let's just try 3 and 5. So that gives a positive 15. Now A is 2, Q is 5, that makes 10, and then P is 3, and B is 2. That makes 6. 10 and 6 makes 16, so that doesn't work. what if we switch these? What if we keep the 2 and the 2 and we switch the 5 and the 3? Because again, that gives the same first term and last term. Let's check. The A is 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 5 is 10. That gives 16. Oh, okay. That doesn't change anything, doesn't it? Does it? So let's try a 4 and a 1. And let's try the 3, 5 again. So here, the A times the Q, that gives 20. And the 3, that gives 3. So that 20 and 3 makes 23 if we add them together. Right? But if we subtract them, what does that give us? If we have the 4 and the 1, and we have the negative 3 and the negative 5, because that, because this is a positive, we know that these two signs are both going to be negative, right? So the P times Q has to be negative. So here, the A is 4 and the Q is negative 5. That makes negative 20. And then here we have 1 times negative 3. That makes negative 23. So that's close, but doesn't quite work, does it? Okay, so these two didn't work out, but they're really, really close. And we know, we're getting 20 and 3. That's really close. So one thing we can consider is switching these. So if we come over here and we continue our AB, AQ plus PB and our PQ, right? If we keep the 4 and the 1 and we say, what about a negative 5 and a negative 3? What's that give? Well, the outer makes negative 12, the inner makes negative 5. That combines to be negative 17, and bingo, that's what we were looking for. So that means our AB is 4, 1, and our PQ is negative 5, 3. If we use this right here, we can say, we can come up with our final answer as 4x plus P, which is a negative 5. So that's minus 5. And remember, as our final step, we got to add that y in there. And then here we get a 1x, or just an x, and that's going to be minus a 3y. Okay, so that's going to be our final answer, but we don't want to just leave it without foiling it and checking it out. So our first gives a 4x squared. Here's our check. 4x squared. Our outer is a negative 12xy. Our inner is a negative 5xy. That combines to be a negative 17xy. Okay, it's looking good. Our last becomes a positive 15y squared. Check.